Jesse Palmer from the Mothership, college football analyst, joining us in studio. When you watch games and you're on the road, can you watch with a pro potential aspect to it, or do you have to keep it sort of in the college realm of things?
I think you have to try to keep it in the college realm of things, but I think when we're studying film and you're doing your preparation leading up to the game, and you really get a chance to study the all-22 angle, and you can kind of see what defenses are doing with coverages and exotic blitzes and things like that, I do think it's easier then to try and project a quarterback at the next level, because you can see the types of decisions they make. You can see how they make adjustments on the move in the course of games. I think it helps that way. But the way college football is now, with so much spread offense and tempo and a lot of concepts that are still mostly foreign on Sunday, it does make it a bit tricky.
Okay, the quarterback position's harder, I think, to assess now because of the spread offenses. Yeah. Give me the other position, the next one in line, that's harder to project.
Believe it or not, I think it's wide receiver now.
Too.
Yeah, it's like, how do you evaluate Demaryius Thomas coming out of Georgia Tech in a triple option offense, for instance? The guy runs a hitch, a 5-yard stop, and he runs a go. And you throw it up, and you let him jump up over a cornerback and catch the football. How do you know how he's going to react when the defensive shell starts in a 2-high safety look and they rotate to 1? Can he adjust the route? How does he run an 18-yard dig? How does he attack the football in space? Believe it or not, the passing game now is just it's almost at times in college, I think it's oversimplified, and it makes it difficult sometimes to know how that necessarily translates. Doesn't mean they can't be good, and Baby Thomas obviously shown us that. We see that year in, year out. Michael Crabtree, a great example out of kind of one of those air raid offenses at Texas Tech, and Mike Leach, who's done well in the NFL as well. But quarterback and wide receiver, it's pretty tough.
And you see these, it's not just Winston against Mariota, but you got White against Cooper. Yeah. So you have different positions where you're not quite sure. You have to pick between the two, and they're different types of players at the same position, which makes the first round even more intriguing, because are you a Cooper guy?
Yeah.
And what role does he play in your offense?
Right.
And you know, defense, is it going to be Leonard Williams, or is it going to be Fowler? And I think that's what's fascinating, too, about this draft. It's not just two quarterbacks here.
Yeah, we've seen so many guys as well throughout the years, too. I mean, transition at the next level. We talk about tweeners now. And is he a defensive end? Is he a stand-up rush guy at that particular position? Is Leonard Williams a true 3-4 defensive end? Can you play him in a 4-3? Could you move him inside to the 3 technique? There's so many different things. Amari Cooper people love because he played in a Lane Kiffin-style offense, probably more similar to what he would do on Sundays. Kevin White, meanwhile, is an absolute freak. But again, playing in that Dana Holgerson-type air raid offense, how does he transition? There's a lot of question marks. There's no such thing, I think, anymore as a sure shot. I don't really know if there ever was anyway, but I think today it's so much more difficult to really project that moving forward.
The red flag on the field would be what?
For
any player?
To me, I think it's football IQ, and it's being able to process classroom onto the field when the lights are on and the bullets are flying. To me, and I played for Steve Spurrier, and we ran a pretty complex offense in college. The next level, playing for Sean Payton with the New York Giants my rookie year, I was swimming. There were fronts. You had to call out the Mike linebacker. You were responsible for changing protections. The terminology was way different. There was just way more. He was a Gruden disciple. Shifts and motions. The amount of detail I remember that went into just converting another 3rd and 3 against the Philadelphia Eagles. Sean Payton would stay awake till 6 a.m. trying to find a shift in motion for Tiki Barber, Amani Toomer, and Jeremy Shockey to get a 3rd and 3 conversion. Where in college it was, Steve Spurrier would hand me a sheet and say, here are your touchdown passes this week. That's from 50. That's from 40. If we're on the 30, we're going to call this. We're taking shots downfield all the time.
Give me a Spurrier play call and give me a Giants play call.
A Duke Wright 14-pass Lonnie.
So that's Spurrier.
Yeah. And then Sean Payton could have been Lightning 21, Fox Wright flip 22, Y-cross E-drag. It could be something like that. And then you could kill it to something else, or you could alert it with something else. And we had different cadences, and we had a 2-minute pack. There was so much different. And that's not just for quarterbacks, but as we talked about, can wide receivers understand you're not just playing the X wide receiver split end every snap, hurry up, and you only play on the left-hand side like Mike Evans did at Texas A&M. Now you've got to flip sides. Now you got to get in the slot. We're going to motion you. We're going to motion you back. Do you know how to stack? Can you get off the press bumps? There's so much more at every position on Sunday that I think, is it a red flag? How do you know if they have the affinity and the IQ to process all of that?
And that's where the spread offense, where these guys look over to the sideline, you get a signal, and everybody knows what the play is. All you have to do is say it's on 1 or 2.
Right.
That, to me, is the biggest transition that these guys have is And Mariota's going to have this, and Cam Newton had this, that you have to actually get in the huddle and call a play. Drew Brees told me about it. He said, you can't imagine what it's like to be in that huddle if you haven't done it before, and you have to give 2 plays. Give one, and we're going to have something else here. We talk about transition. Hey, can you run that kind of a pro set offense? Just little things, I think, are what drags these guys down.
And I think it's those sorts of things that, in my opinion, establish Jameis Winston right now above Marcus Mariota with respect to having success on the field early. Jameis Winston was given 2 plays in a huddle. He could go to the line of scrimmage. He could dissect a defense. He could change the protection. He wasn't looking over to Jimbo Fisher on the sidelines to get the okay to keep the play on. He was in control. He could take a snap under center. You think of all these quarterbacks now in college that simply run shotgun offenses. They have to work for months before the combine so they can accept a snap under center, turn around, fake a handoff, take 7 steps, and throw an 18-yard comeback towards the left sideline. These are things that were automatic when you were 8 years old growing up. Today, completely foreign concepts. Again, the game has changed, and that's why I think there's so many questions when you have to evaluate that position.
He's Jesse Palmer from the Mothership joining us here in the Man Cave. You're also looking we had Robert Klemko from the mmqb.com who was in, and he talked to a scout, and he said there's probably 15 teams that could or would draft Jameis Winston, 3 that would draft Marcus Mariota based on their abilities and their, the system they're coming in. Does that surprise you?
It doesn't surprise me. Again, I think if I was a coach and I had to win now, if I was the owner of a football team and I had to win now, based on Jameis Winston's football IQ, what I believe it is, and I wasn't in the meetings at the combines, I wasn't in Gruden camp, I haven't been in these sit-down meetings, but from the film study I've done, having followed him the last 2 years in college, it's Andrew Luck-like. I know right now he can get on a field in a condensed defense where 3 linebackers are actually in the box, and safeties can rock and roll, and you can disguise coverages and blitzes differently than you can if you're in a spread, and he can make decisions on the fly. He's accurate. He can lead your offense. You can score points. I know he can do that. I don't doubt that Marcus Mariota one day can do that. I just don't know right now if he can. Is he more athletic than Jameis Winston? Absolutely. I'm sure if we went on a grass field right now, a block away, gave him both footballs and said, hey, Dan and I are going to run the route tree. Hey, just throw us footballs. I bet Marcus Mariota, he might look better. But on the field from day one, transitioning, I think it's going to be a slower curve. I don't know what's going to happen to Jameis Winston with a couple $1 million in his bank account off the field.
But can you have an IQ that's football related on the field, but not have that IQ off the field?
Yeah. And I think with Jameis, in my opinion, a lot of his issues, I think, are just maturity.
Yeah.
I think different people mature at different levels. He's made mistakes. Certainly, if you're the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or if you're the Tennessee Titans, who's ever going to take him, you hope that he's learning those lessons. Time obviously tells. That's why the evaluation process in the draft and the psychological testing now, it's crazy. In my opinion, it's paralysis by analysis. I think they overdo it at this point. But those are serious problems, and it gets franchises into trouble. And that's the biggest question mark. On the field, I don't have any issues, no doubts about Jameis Winston. And I think Marcus Mariota can be successful on Sundays too. Just again, there are concerns for both guys. It's more off the field. I think one's more on.
When we come back, I'll ask Jesse, Tim Tebow back in the NFL for how long? And if we were breaking down the tape, if it was like Winston Mariota between you and Kirk Herbstreit.
Throwing?
Quarterback.
Anything?
Quarterback.
Running? Yeah, take me.
Well, you just ruined the tease, Jesse.
Oh, that was a tease.
Yes, it was a tease.
Yeah, well, now people know, so change the question. You have to come up with something better.
Well, you don't want me doing better looking in their prime.
No, that's Kirk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Herbie's got you?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay,
yeah.
fair enough. You just ruined that tease, too.
Herbie had me then, and he has me now.
All right, I don't know what we're talking about.
Aren't you glad you brought me on?
I know. You don't understand this radio tease business.
No, this is all new to me.
Save your Tebow opinion. Will you do that, Jesse?
I can do that. Please come back and listen.
All right, 17 after the hour. We'll continue with Jesse Palmer.